Episode 4, The Willow. The malformed lump moved, a mountain of rags shifting and snagging on unseen shapes, jagged and sharp, or lumpy, as a dark hood rose to peer out at the newcomers. "Come to listen to my story," came a rasping voice. The thing raised a gnarled hand and waved to the two impatient children, a boy and a girl. "No, we are looking for missing women," responded Elidas, taking a cautious step back from the man. "Oh, I wish you luck in that. I would help if I could, but my condition keeps me here." The boy pipes up. "Finish your story, mister. Come on, we were just getting to the good part." "It's been good the entire time, idiot," chimed the girl. "You just don't know what a setup is." On a whim, Millar and Elidas stand and listen to the rest of the tale. Despite leaving out the start, the telling of one of the many stories of the Faceless Hero was so vivid as to be seen dancing in the air. When completed, the children began to scurry about, reenacting different roles. Where are these children's parents? This isn't a particularly friendly part of town," asked Malara. "Jack's father has been going to the parties that the gods are throwing in the woods. His mother is upset, and they haven't had the time to care for him. He's been visiting for a while. Jane just follows him everywhere, but their families both live in the northern half of the city," the hooded man said. "Parties run by the guards? Out in the woods?" Malara asked. "That's kind of strange." "Pop says Varder's an animal," Jack butted in. "He won't tell me what that means, though." The hooded figure shrugged. "I would tell you if I knew. I unfortunately hear most of my rumors from children, and you know how warped their reality can be." "Where'd the children go?" Worry riddled Malara's voice. "They'll be fine. Those two are more resourceful than most adults." As Elidas and Malara make the relatively quick trip back to the stray fox, Malara hears crying children, yet her search brings forth nothing. The south tower loomed over the thatch roofs of the slum streets. "Strange to see your kind here, Kraken Man. Come to convert, or because you're lost on the shore?" the tall, lanky man in white robes said. Samwise passed around under the man's feet and around the podium that held the massive book the man had been reading from, then barked. "I am looking for missing women. Samwise, smell Rachel here," Fenrir responded. The man crouched down to the dog, scratching it behind the ears. "Of course he smells Rachel here. She worked here." "Smells strongest here. She here last." "Strange." The tall man's eyes slid from the dog to squint at Fenrir. "Well, if that is all, then I suggest you leave, as I have contemplations to delve into." Fenrir considers for a moment, looking at the surroundings, and a strange detail jumps out. A particular line has faded out of the large book. The passage itself doesn't seem particularly interesting, but its existence stays with Fenrir as he leaves the church. The voice spoke Fenrir's home tongue. "Fancy seeing your kind here." Looking up, Fenrir sees a young woman covered in ash and soot, long hair knotted into worming dreadlocks, and her dark skin marks her as Krakenman. Fancy meeting you here. I had not expected to meet other Krakenmen here, other than grandmother and sister, of course. Oh, you're Charlotte's grandson? We chat from time to time. I suppose that you're looking for the missing women? Yes, with many associates I met on the way here. You should meet them. Katerina joins Fenrir in returning to the stray fox. Elidus eyed the hooded woman nervously as she sat down. Where is Jonathan? He asked. Eloped with Varder. To whorehouse, I think, answered Fenrir. Fenrir shares the info he gathered with the aid of his dog, and how he shares his suspicions of Varder with Alexander. Elidus shares their findings of an additional missing person named Angela, who also disappeared in the church, and the fact that Varder throws parties out in the woods, the next happening tonight. I want to talk to squires, says Fenrir. They need to know what is happening. They are like to wake pretty late in the day. It's odd enough to see one up in the morning, Malara says. After the discussion, Katerina excuses herself and returns to work at the smithies. That evening, the players, including Katerina, meet with the squires. I have no interest in this Varder's parties, snarled Liber. Oh, I think it could be a useful scouting excursion, said Sean. As you wish, responds Liber. The two looked Quad, who simply shook his head. There you are, Krakenman. Sean alone shall accompany you, Liber said. Fenrir nodded. You must know at least 2 of the missing women vanished here. What? Sean sputters. Sanctus, Liber shouts, butting his head into one of the many halls where men of cloth rest. The lanky man, dressed in white, bustles out from the stone halls. Is it true that women have disappeared from within the church? Liber asks the priest furiously. It is, Liber. We have things to discuss, you and your fellows, alone, responded Sanctus. The priest takes the squires to private quarters. With the men of cloth gone, Fenrir took another peek at the large holy book, finding 6 additional places where the text had faded. Interestingly, the book also opens to those pages, as if they were visited frequently. As Liber re-entered the room, he glared at the players. You ought to leave this matter to us. It happened within the church, and it is to be dealt with by members of it. With that, the players are shuffled out of the church, Sean accompanying them back to the stray fox. A man chats with a pretty woman at the bar. His garb is red and black of the city guard. As they draw closer, they overhear what the man is saying. Should snow soon. Looking forward to it. I want to roll up a few snowmen. The woman giggled. As long as you keep me company when the cold comes in under the door. Hello, Fenrir says as he approaches the man. I am Fenrir, looking for party that God's having. The man grimaces. Gawain. I know where it is, but I don't like him. We would greatly appreciate you taking us there, Fenrir says. Grumbling, the man hauls himself up and guides the players into the woods. Firelight leaked between naked trees and bled around shadowed forms as they danced in a savage rhythm. Drums thundered and chants filled the air. Pig roasted over small fires, watered mouths. A bonfire dominated the clearing, spreading fervor in the people. The dress of men and women alike was immodest, if present at all. Many wear ribbons around biceps and calves, and most bone masks upon faces. Drink flowed free as river water as a big grizzled man sat beneath an obelisk with a mummy tied to it. The mummy had a strange dress of human hair, and its eyes seemed to follow Elias and Malara around the clearing. Over the lot, an old willow tree hung, its leaves dangling like impossibly long fingers over the gathering. Sean vanished into the crowd. 2 men clear a ring before the big grizzled man and begin to spar, fighting till one is injured too badly and is dragged behind the willow tree, only for him to stumble back into the light, looking sickly pale, but unharmed instead of covered in bloody wounds. Curious as a cat, Katerina peers behind the tree. What happens to the men back there? Some 4 stripped her clothing before throwing her back into the light. A few people stop their revelry to peer strangely at her. She picks herself up and attempts to brush herself off, doing little but causing her to cough from the soot and ash clouds created by her actions. Then, trying to avoid ire and maintain social cohesion, begins to dance. Elias asks Katerina if she's all right, and she nods. Fenrir, feeling cheeky, joins the blood sport. He stands across from another larger man who snarls and throws crude comments before being beaten without laying a single finger on Fenrir. With his bout won, the man who sits before the obelisk beckons Fenrir over. "Bloody good showing, boy. Didn't think you had the talent for fightin'," the man says. "Wrestled wolves for fun as boy on pirate ship. Always need keen edge and wary eye." "Listen, boy. Plenty of girlies will be wantin' to make your acquaintance after a showin' like that. Not all of 'em are bloody keepers, mind you," he says, pulling a woman who was probably taller than him, standing to his side. "Let me tell you the ones that are." Malara peered at the corpse tied to the obelisk. It appeared to be about 20 years dead. Despite that, it showed no signs of being eaten by wild animals. Something tickles the back of her mind. Some story she heard as a lass about human hair dresses. Elias, powered by fear and the need to know, peered behind the tree where Katerina had ventured. 2 glowing eyes glared down at him, and he ran. The players pulled themselves from the party into the near shadow of the trees around the clearing. As they shared their findings, Malara's mind grasped the thing tickling it. "Shaman! The man on the obelisk is a Northman shaman. Must have been hung there at the end of the war 20 years ago." The war Immortus hadn't quite recovered from. Armed with new information, the players returned to the light to scrounge up more. Katerina ventured once more behind the tree to meet the towering eyes that glowed like a cat's in the dark. Fenrir went to his new acquaintance. "Who is this?" he asked, gesturing at the corpse. "Killed the gutless shaman myself." "Some friends say they see his eyes follow them. Why can't I?" "Shamans have little interest in men like you." And you are? Teeth, boy, you know who I am. At least your prissy-assed noble friend does, Varder says. You know where my sister is? Fenrir asked. Told you before that I don't know, growls Varder. You told me before that it was none of my business. Varder glares up at the Kraken man. So, where is she? Leave, boy. You better leave before you regret it. But you know, I must know too. Before I pulverize you to gut and gore, you better break your bones getting away if you want to live. Katarina slammed to the ground before them, interrupting the man, hard enough that they could hear bones crack. Katarina twitched as a woman screamed in shock. Varder leapt to her, checking for a heartbeat before saying, Bloody lucky to live. Boys, take her away. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit that cursed little bell. And I hope to see you around my campfire again.